Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the 360 Leadership Podcast. Today, I am delighted to be joined by a very, very special guest. Her name is Suzanne Sheridan. Suzanne is the VP of Commercial Operations in Thermo Fisher Scientific, who specialise in laboratory consumables and equipment. She's an Irish working mom of two girls. She leads up the commercial organisation and is basically one of the nicest, most smart, talented people that I've ever had the pleasure of coming across. She is responsible for a team of 160 people and has been very fortunate to have a long and successful career in Thermo Fisher Scientific, where she joined the company in 2007 when they set up a greenfield site in Ireland to current day where she is now. She had the opportunity to relocate with the company to the US and spent almost 50% of her career in the US. Her girls are very important to her and her husband. Her girls are 4 and 6 right now, and they made a decision to move back to Ireland because they wanted to have their children grow up in Europe. And so they're back in Ireland since last June. Now, not only that, but Suzanne is a past and current client of mine, and I thought it would be really good for her to come on the podcast because Suzanne is at an executive level, and Suzanne is a mother of three, and a mother of two, and this whole debate comes up all the time about can women have it all, and Suzanne has found a way to recover from burnout, to be in a space where she truly has literally created her dream career in life. So, Suzanne, you are very welcome to the podcast today. How are you?
Well, I'm blushing after that introduction, Lucy. It's so good to spend time with you. Yeah, I almost didn't recognize myself when you were going through that. So thank you. Very
I know,
kind.
but isn't that so funny? Like when you write out, like I obviously would have asked you for an introduction and like I pulled bits from your profile and stuff. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes as women, we forget how much we've done. Like, is that what was coming up for you when I was reading that out?
Yeah, I mean, you think it back to, when you start your career and then the journey that you take to where you are now. And yeah, if I think back to the start, I would never have envisaged where I am today. And yeah, so it was a lovely introduction. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Okay, so let's just rewind. So I suppose right now you are like living your dream life. So let's just talk about that first, where you're at right now.
As you mentioned, I'm actually living just outside Nice. So I moved back to Ireland last June, and I basically I mean, we can talk through, I guess, the journey to where
Mm-hmm.
I am now. So I I experienced burnout actually twice, right? So 13 years apart. And I genuinely thought when it happened once that I had learned enough about the warning signs, etc. But I didn't, which led me to really an incredible journey over the last year, which is to steal your mantra. It really is around how do you get success, balance, and happiness, which I've achieved now, but it's been a journey. So if I take a step back and just like talk about what burnout is, because not everybody knows what burnout is, even in this day and age, but it has been categorized as a syndrome, and it's chronic workplace stress that is just not managed successfully. And I first experienced it in 2010, when there was a lot less known about it. So I really didn't know what was going on. I was doing my master's while working. I'd received a promotion at work, and between work and study, the only time that I took off was about 2 to 3 hours on a Sunday evening. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't eating well, sleeping well, and eventually it led to a complete state of burnout where I was feeling exhausted. I had extreme negativity. I wasn't efficient in my job, and I got to the stage where I needed to take 5 weeks out of work and postpone my masters to recover from burnout. So that was the first time, and I thought I'd learned so much going through that it would never happen again. But if I fast forward 13 years to last year, life had changed dramatically right in that period of time. I was married. I had spent 8 years in the US. I was promoted to vice president level. I had two amazing daughters, and life was really good. We made the decision to move the girls to Ireland. So in January 2022, I started a new role, which was a promotion to a part of the business that was new to me. The role had European responsibility, and I basically spent 6 months getting up between 2:30 and 3:30 working European time. And I it affected my entire life, because basically in the meantime I was packing up my life in the US with two small kids, and I just really was putting all this pressure on myself from a work perspective. I historically have always placed so much worth around my career success, and I thought I was superwoman, despite everyone around me telling me I needed to be careful with the crazy hours I was working. It wasn't my company that was asking me to do this. It wasn't my boss who was asking me to do this. They're both incredibly supportive, but it was me, and it was me placing my self-worth on my career, that I had to do better. I had to do more. So I did this for 6 months, moved back to Ireland. I was definitely experiencing feelings of burnout, which is when I reached out to you. And at that time, I thought, oh, I'll get over it. It'll be fine. So we had initial conversation, and then I said, I can figure this out. I've gone through it before, but it really came to a head in October, where I needed to take time out of work to recover, because I was neglecting everything in my life. I wasn't spending time with my family or being present with my kids or my husband. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't sleeping. And in the end, you know, family is the most important thing to me, and I'd gotten my priorities completely wrong. So that's really, the catalyst to the last year, and what I've had to do to get to where I am now.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that, like, so openly and honestly, because I think so often, especially women who are looking up to women at your level, think that you have it all together and everything is fine, and a lot of the time, like, it's not, because there's a lot of pressure. But you mentioned something there, which is something I would see as well as a common denominator, is it's not necessarily your company putting pressure on you or your boss. The pressure is coming from yourself. So I think that was really powerful. So how did you come to that realization?
Yeah, so um the first thing, I mean, I've had to do many things, and a lot of them have been tools and strategies that you've helped me with. But the first thing I had to do was completely reframe my mindset. So my mindset was, I put a direct linear correlation between the number of hours worked and the success, rather than productivity and results.
Ooh.
Um, so that was the first thing, was literally I was measuring hours equals success, and that was completely wrong. I thought I had to work every night. I worked weekends. I thought I was sacrificing family time to provide my kids with everything they could possibly want, rather than realizing actually all they wanted was time with me, which I wasn't doing. um, and what I think probably one of the biggest things that I had to do was really lay out what my vision was for the year. And as you
Mm.
know, I created a vision board, which a lot of people would say is like a bit a bit on the lunatic side. But anyway, the vision board basically, and I have it here behind me, it covers the things that I wanted to achieve professionally and personally. So it has things like a new house on it. I'm sitting in my new house right now, dream house,
Mm-hmm.
love it. Just moved in last weekend. It has someone finishing a marathon on it. I'm running Dublin Marathon on Sunday. It has lots of family time. It has success, teamwork, and I really strongly believe that if you plan, you will achieve. But if you don't plan, then life ends up passing you by, and you realize, actually, I didn't do all of the things I wanted to do. So planning is really important to me now, and I use the head plan journal. Anyone who doesn't have it, get it. It's amazing. So I write down every week, what do I want to achieve from a work and a personal perspective. So what do I want to achieve in life for that week? And then I put in place, strategic time. And then I've also taken self-care to the absolute extreme to make sure that I'm the best version of myself to the people that matter most. So my husband has said, "You've gone the other extreme now." So, but it's all good.
But look at the results. So like I am honestly, like, as your coach, honestly, you know this. I am so proud of you for all the work you've put in, because I remember, like, for me it's so rewarding to see you sitting in the house and to know you're running the marathon this weekend and all of those things, because I was with you on that journey when, I remember I told you about the vision board, and you were quite
Yeah,
open to it actually. A
yeah,
lot of people are skeptical, because it sounds a bit woo woo, but it's actually backed by science that when we have, images on a board, our brains have a process called value tagging, and we place more value on images. And the more we see the images, the more we align to try to do it. I have a vision board myself every year. So I know that's been a very, very important component for you. And you are literally sitting in the home, like you've manifested your home, you've manifested everything because of, I suppose, you took it seriously, didn't you? Like, you
yeah.
really
Oh
took, like,
yeah.
when we worked together, you were like, I'm making changes. So tell me, like, why couldn't you have done this by yourself? Or do you think you could have done it by yourself, actually?
Not to the level that I feel I've come over the last year. I probably could have recovered. Ultimately, I would have recovered from burnout, right? I would have recovered from that, but it could have happened again. And now I'm in a place where it definitely won't happen again, because I have all of the tools and strategies that I need. I didn't have those tools, right? When I suffered from burnout in 2010, I was reading books on burnout. It really wasn't as commonly known what it was. But honestly, having you as a coach, and then now being part of the 360 Leadership Club, where you actually connect with like-minded women, that that has really been like the game changer for me. And then obviously putting in the work, right?
Mm.
It doesn't just happen.
Yeah, amazing. And so what tools, so you said that you didn't have the tools and strategies in 2010 that you have now. So I know you're a big fan of a lot of the productivity tools that I would have kind of taught you and stuff. So tell people what worked for you in terms of managing your workload in particular.
So, effectively, I mean, there's a number of things. So I'm much better at delegation.
Mm,
I I always thought that I had to be involved in every part of the business and know exactly what was going on, so that if somebody asked me a question, I knew the answer straight away. I discovered when I had to take time out of work, actually, that I knew I had an amazing team, but you see it more when you're out of work and people really step up and like take over and lead in your absence. So I try to delegate a lot more. I use the CEO Power Hour, as you know, right, where I take out an hour every month and define, what do I want to achieve, what is my strategy, have I achieved my goals the previous month, what do I need to do to change that for the following month. um I really do listen to my body as well. When Before this, I completely ignored the symbol or the signs, where, if I was feeling exhausted, I'd work through it. Whereas now, if I feel tired, I'll take a break, I'll go for a walk, because ultimately I'm not productive in
mm-hmm.
that space. So I need to do something different. So I do that a lot. Planning has been the key, though. I am an uber planner now, and I really plan my week so that at the end of the week, I feel I've accomplished a lot, not because I've done 100 things, but I've done three things that are really important for the business
Mm,
well.
mm.
Um, so they're just some of the things. I do listen to your podcast religiously every week. I will say that, and I've gotten a lot of tips from that as well.
Amazing. And so how did you shift your mindset? So again, I I'm asked all the time for tips and tools and all of that, but you and I both know that unless you are in the right mindset, none of those tools are going to land because, you were on the hamster wheel. You had beliefs that you had to know everything. You had to have all the answers. You had to say yes to things you wanted to say no to. You said there was a direct correlation between your, success and hours worked and all these things. And so the only thing that's changed with anything really is how you're thinking about things. So before I dig into the tools, just talk to me about the mindset shifts because I know we would have done work on like saboteurs and all those kind of things. So talk to me about the mindset shifts that you had to go through first.
Yeah, so I had the first thing I had to do was to really dig deep in terms of why I
Mm,
had that mindset and why I was placing so much of my self-worth on work. And it really came down to I I wanted to make sure that I was financially secure. Like that was ultimately my biggest driver, that I really wanted financial security and for my family never to want for anything. But I was sacrificing so much to get there. And I I ended up realizing that actually that wasn't the most important thing to I always thought career was the most important thing to me. But when I dig we went through the value exercise, right? And what truly do you value most? And when I went through that, I realized it was family, and what I was doing was in complete contradiction to what I value the most. So not spending time with them and them being the most important thing without a shadow was just completely flawed. So once I had that realization, I I now am very much more present with my family. So I have breakfast with my kids. We have a chat in the morning before they go off to school. I don't work weekends. Never work weekends now unless there's an absolute catastrophic emergency, which thankfully, there's been one this year, right? But I don't do that anymore. And I truly am present when I'm with my family.
mm.
I switch off in the evenings when I need to. I mean, sometimes I have to go back on, obviously, but when I'm there, I'm there.
Oh my God. Like, this is why I do what I do. I could actually cry because literally, like, it sounds like, talk to me like, what's different in your home life? What's different for your family and your children and your husband since you've gone through this transformation?
They I mean, they've noticed a huge difference. Because I was there, but I wasn't there, right? So at times, even when I was there, I was thinking about all of the emails I had to do, or like a project that I didn't get finished, or something like that. So although even when I was present, I wasn't present. So they've noticed a complete shift. I even said to my husband this morning, I was like, "Oh, I'm doing a podcast on burnout today," and he was like, I'm really proud of you because you're a completely different person to the person you were a year ago, and if you can help other people, that's great. So
Mm.
that's all I'm really looking for, is if I can help someone else avoid burnout, then this it's all worth it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I just love it. And talk to me then, like, what is different in work for you? Like, have your team noticed a difference, or like, what's kind of different? What's happened in work? Because I remember, sorry, now I'll back up a bit. I remember, like, obviously, one of the biggest fears that you had, if it's okay that I share, don't worry,
Yeah.
won't be too deep or anything, was around like, and I hear it too a lot around getting off the hamster wheel. If I don't work the hours, or if I don't know everything, I'm gonna drop a ball and something bad is gonna happen. And now it sounds like you're being really strategic with your time. You're taking a step back. You're planning. Planning has become super important, which is the key to everything. It's getting off that hamster wheel. So how did everything pan out and work?
I love my job, and I didn't love my job before because I was devoting just too much time, and it was just sucking all of my energy. I love my job now. I've got a great team. I wake up every day and I enjoy going to work. I I'm definitely, I'm getting positive feedback in terms of the work that we're doing. And yeah, it's night and day from the way that it was, because I'm actually taking the time out to make better decisions rather than, as you said, on that hamster wheel, just like firefighting all the time. Now I basically take the time out that I need to make the right decisions. So
Mhm.
I mean, still, like all of us, right? There's still areas of opportunity that I have that everybody has, but um, at least I'm present enough to know what they are, and
Mhm.
work through them.
And so how do you actually carve out the time to be? So I know obviously so first of all, we work together obviously one to one, and then you've been in 360 Leaders Club since the start, which is amazing. So how is that supporting you to kind of stay on the right track?
So first of all, with 360 Leaders Club, um, we went on this amazing retreat, as you know, right? And spending time with other women at similar levels within other organizations that have exactly the same struggles and exactly the same juggling and balancing act between family and career was really game changing, because we just had so much in common, and we're in different companies, so you can share openly, right, in terms of what your challenges are. And we've helped each other. We've gone to networking events together, and I organized a night away at the end of September with the other ladies, so we could spend some, downtime with like-minded women. And as someone who'd moved back from the States, I didn't really have that kind of a network in Ireland. I had my friends, obviously, from school and all of that, but I didn't have kind of more of the professional network, which I definitely have more of that now.
Oh, Fab, I love that. And I just love seeing the camaraderie with you all as well, because obviously like we have our coaching calls every month, and you get to catch up and you get to, openly share challenges. So like how do I suppose, how does the membership support you every single month on a month kind of basis with our guests and all that kind of stuff too?
So for me, I had one of the other things that I neglected, right? I mentioned in 2010 I postponed my master's, and I'd really neglected actually professional and personal development for years. Like all I was focused on was effectively my job. And now I carve out that time every month to focus on me, and the guest speakers are always relevant, and the topics are always relevant to some aspect of your role in your life. So I really enjoy those. And then having that um time to also, bounce ideas off people, or if you've got a challenge that that you have that opportunity to actually bounce it off people, has been really helpful.
Yeah, amazing. And like you wouldn't have that network either really in work, because a lot of the women in the group are obviously working in, a lot of them are in more male dominated environments. And so how does it feel knowing that you have that community when the shit hits the fan in work?
Yeah, it's great to know. I mean, there's people in the group that if I had a major issue in work, I know that I could pick up the phone and bounce ideas off them, and I'd get great advice and understanding. So yeah, I mean, it's been great.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so just to kind of go off that topic a little bit for a second, I wanted to ask you about women who are listening to the podcast who want to strive for those more senior roles, who want to strive for that executive level, but a lot of women don't necessarily want to do that because they see or think it's really challenging, or they think that they don't have the skill set, or they think this and they think that. What advice would you give to women who want to get to that your level?
I would say you can absolutely do whatever you want to do.
Mhm.
So I actually thought that, because when I started out in my career, it was much more male dominated than it is now. And actually, a lot of the senior leaders that were female did have to sacrifice family for their career. And I did go through a stage where I thought, I don't know if like family is in my future, because I was really career oriented, and I didn't know if that was going to fit into my life and if I could have it all. But you absolutely can, right? So I have two amazing daughters who are my world. I've got an amazingly supportive husband, and I you can absolutely have it all. I mean, I spend all my weekends having fun with friends, family. I've joined a running club, which I go to religiously, and I'm also successful in my career, and I plan to continue to be successful in my career, and I plan to continue to progress. Like that's not going to stop. And I don't believe that I need to sacrifice my what's valuable to me to have a career, because I think
Mhm.
you can have it all. And I think it's really important when I think about having two daughters, like I want them to see me as a role model. And I don't like I'm not a good role model if all I'm doing is working. Like that's not sending the right message to them. So that's super important to me. I would recommend to anybody that you do coaching. I mean, not just saying that because I'm on here, but having someone that can really help you reframe how you're thinking about things, that is more neutral than a friend or family, really does help. And yeah, if you reframe your mindset, I think you can do anything.
Yeah. Oh my God, amazing. And it's so funny, like, because obviously I'm a coach and I support you, but like I have two coaches, one for kind of
Yeah.
my mindset and mindfulness, and one is like a business mentor. And I will always invest now in coaching. It's like I've got the bug, but I didn't realize it was a thing. Like I didn't even know, I would never have considered coaching when I worked in corporate, because I kind of thought it was like, I don't know, for C-level executives, and like who am I to have a coach? But now I'm like, God, if I had just known that it was available to me when I was back there, like I just wonder what could have been different. So talk to me about like your what you think about that.
Yeah, so I was definitely the same. I would have never considered, well, first of all, I never would have considered investing in myself. Um, that's what it is, right? It's an investment in yourself. I would have never considered that. And yeah, it, I mean, for me, it's just been a game changer to know that it's okay to invest in yourself. And actually, you should invest in yourself, because if you can be a better version of yourself and be happier, then why not invest in yourself? So yeah, I would recommend that everyone should try it for sure.
Yeah. And like, how did you get over that mindset block? Because again, I remember my very first coach I ever worked with. I just remember like working with her, and she told me like how much it was. And I nearly fell off the chair, and I was a bit like, oh my God, like I could never invest that in myself. But it was actually it was so funny. It was actually my husband that talked me into it. I think he was so sick of me trying to figure it out by myself. He was like, you just whatever you need to pay to get yourself sorted, just do it. And since that time, it's so funny. Like now, I'll invest higher and higher and higher every single time I work with someone, because I know one thing I've learned is like the more you invest, the more money you invest, the more you're invested in the result. And so I just think for me, that's been really powerful. What do you think?
Yeah, so we connected right last July, and I think it was no, it was earlier than that, but I know we started working together last July. And when we first met and we talked through it, and then we went through the costs, and I was like, no, like I just can't justify that. I mean, I need to use that money for other things. I need to put it away for the kids' college education, or I need to do something else with that. And then it just really got to a head where I realized that if I didn't do something different, then I was not going to be able to continue on well, I definitely wasn't able to continue on the path that I was on, right? That something had to change. And I also, I mean, I was at a stage where I was thinking, do I need to take a step back in my career? Because it's not possible to have it all. So I was like working through financially, if I have to take a step back, then like, how can I justify spending this money on coaching? And it had the complete reverse effect, right? So I signed up, I went through the program, and now I am accelerating my career rather than taking a step back. So if you invest in yourself and you spend money on yourself, you will make sure that you get value out of that.
Exactly. Yeah, I absolutely love that because that is the truth. It is, so often, and I would have been the same, we see it as a cost, but it's
Yeah.
actually like, what's the cost of not doing anything? It's usually far greater than, and like for me, it's always like when I invest, when I first started, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't do it. Well, I just, well, I see, can I just like pay it monthly? But actually, no, I much prefer like I just invest, it's done, and then I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm
All
I'm
in.
there and
Yeah.
I'm getting the value. So I love that you're saying the same thing. So I'm conscious we've been on for a while. I'm just what I'm trying to think, have I covered everything with you? So we talked about burnout and we've talked about your journey. We've talked about the tools. We've talked about how how you got to the level you're at and that kind of thing. And I know that you're a massive advocate for coaching, which is fab. So now just tell me, like, if there's anyone listening right now who is feeling like they're like you were, where you were on the hamster wheel and they're about to burn out, or they think they're close to burnout, or they just don't see a way out of their current situation, what would you say? What advice would you give them?
So if there's anyone out there that's listening, right, that is feeling burnt out or close to burnout, I would say there is absolutely a path for you to get out of this. And you can get to a much better place. If you had said to me a year ago, that I would feel that I've got success, balance, and happiness, I would have said you're crazy, because I was really feeling completely negative and totally burnt out. Reach out and get some help, right? Like that's the most important thing. Whether it's a coach, if you've gone really extreme, obviously like go and see your doctor, but there is absolutely a way for you to feel better and that you can have it all. And if I can help anybody, ping Lucy. She can give you my contact details. I'm happy to speak to anyone, and provide advice from what I've gone through myself.
Oh, amazing. I think that's so important is, reach out for support. It doesn't have to be, you might not need a coach, but, even talking to your partner or talking to your best friend, or even just knowing that you don't have to bear this burden all by yourself. Like that can be so, so powerful. And then obviously if you're at the stage where you're like, I just need someone to talk to, I just cannot get out of this. My husband doesn't understand. Like obviously definitely reach out to me for sure. And
And
so, sorry.
just one other thing that I think is really important, because it's a mistake that I made, and I'd hate for other people to make that mistake. Do not assume that your company or your boss is not going to understand, because ultimately the people that experience burnout are generally high achieving individuals who want to do more and want to do better. And they have got an incredibly strong work ethic, and it's gone to the extreme. So they're generally employees that your company doesn't want to lose and that your boss values. So I put off for quite a while explaining what I was going through to my boss. And when I did, he was incredibly, incredibly supportive. So I just don't think that you're not going to get the support in your company, because I bet that you will.
Yeah, that's really, really, really good advice. And having that conversation, it never, like for you, it worked out better than ever, right? I remember
Yeah,
your
yeah,
your
yeah.
boss sent you flowers and like so, so nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and so one last question, I probably should ask you this. It's probably like a bit, for me, it feels a bit icky, but I'm going to ask you anyway. But like how did you find working with me, like as a coach? Like what did you like about working with me?
So for me, it was the accountability side of it, because when you're in a state of burnout, you honestly don't have the energy to do a lot of things because you're just completely emotionally exhausted, and you definitely don't hold yourself accountable, and you think, okay, it'll just figure itself out, right? It'll be better next month, or it'll be better the month after. And when this happens, when I move back and I've moved all my stuff, it'll be better then. With you, you kindly held me very accountable for what needed to change. And if you do nothing, nothing is going to change. You can't manifest change without doing something, without taking action. So that was the key thing, is what are you going to do about it? When are you going to do it? And then on our next call, did you do it? And
Hmm.
so the accountability thing was super important. And then obviously all of the tools and tactics and strategies that I've built into my life now, they've all really helped.
Brilliant. And we had a bit of fun along the way too. Yeah,
Uh,
amid the
uh,
madness.
Absolutely. And you know what? The other thing I would say is that you need to really connect with your coach. Like, you
Mm.
have to have a relationship where you trust them, that they have your best interests at heart, that it's not, just a business enterprise, that there's truly caring about their clients. And I got that from you. So that was also really important.
Yeah, and that's a really important point. Like, I don't just work with anyone because if I don't feel like I
Yeah.
have that connection or I can support someone, it's against the code of ethics at the ICF anyway. So any coach worth their salt will not take you on if you're not the right fit. Okay, so finally, Suzanne, just before we finish up, what is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
So for me, it's say yes to things that scare you.
Mm.
I truly believe that you only regret the things that you don't do. Like, if I think about myself, we moved to the States knowing no one. We moved back to a new area in Ireland knowing no one. I took on roles that scared me. I took on roles that I didn't believe I was qualified for. And it's truly when you're in that state of, I'm really scared about doing this, that you learn and grow. And then the other final thing I'll leave you with is, a wise friend of mine said once that life is not a dress rehearsal, so you got to make the most of every day you're here, because it's, this is it.
This is it. This is it. Oh my God. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Suzanne, thank you so much for sharing your story so openly and honestly. I know that you're going to inspire so many women. So, is it okay with you if I like tag your LinkedIn, or is that okay?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Suzanne, thank you so, so much for being here today on the podcast. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Lucy.